According to the Ramayana, Trishanku is described to be a self-controlled, truthful and a righteous king in the Ikshvaku dynasty who wanted to ascend to Svarga in his own body. He approached the chief priest of the Ikshvaku dynasty, Vasishtha, and later the priest's sons to ask them if they would perform a sacrifice to help him secure such a place. Both Vasishtha and his sons refused Trishanku's request as impossible. When Trishanku told Vasishtha's sons of his intention to seek some other means to achieve his goal, they angrily cursed him so that he would physically transform into a chandala. The curse transformed Trishanku's appearance and he no longer looked like a king. Still adamant, he approached sage Vishwamitra, Vasishtha's rival, to fulfill his desire. As expected by the king, Vishwamitra comforted the distressed king and agreed to help him. The king had been promised a place in Svarga by the sage Vishwamitra, who agreed to do the sacrifice for him out of pity. He summoned his sons and asked them to prepare for a pious sacrifice. He also ordered his disciples to invite all the learned sages to his hermitage for the sacrifice. After a few days, his disciples returned, informing him that all but Vasishtha's sons had accepted the invitation. Finally, the day of the sacrifice arrived and Vishwamitra officiated as its chief priest. After the completion of the sacrifice, Vishwamitra requested the devas to accept the offering and lead Trishanku to heaven in his own body. None of the devas appeared even after a long wait. The sage was enraged. He turned to the king and declared that he would help Trishanku ascend to heaven without any help from the devas. As soon as Vishwamitra said those words, the king began to ascend towards heaven. The devas reported this to Indra, who angrily kicked Trishanku from the abode because of his low birth, sending him hurling towards the earth. The devas also declared that Trishanku should fall to the depths of the earth. Confused and shocked, Trishanku began falling down and begged Vishwamitra to save him. Using his divine powers, Vishwamitra halted the king's fall. Vishwamitra was able to halt his fall midway during his descent, and so the king was left suspended in the air. Determined to fulfill his promise to Trishanku, Vishwamitra began creating a new heaven around the king. He also created 7 planets, the Saptarishis, and 27 stars around the king, and decided to make Trishanku the king of the devas. When the devas found out, they were perturbed. They immediately appeared before the sage and pleaded to him, asking him to change his decision. Indra opted to create a new Svarga below his own Svarga as a compromise just for the residents of Trishanku. But in retort, Vishwamitra created a new Indra and devas to occupy the new heaven with the king. Terrified of the power of the sage, Indra relented and personally carried Trishanku to the real Svarga on his own golden chariot. While in this version of the story, Trishanku is referred to as a pious king from the Ikshvaku dynasty, in another version of his story, he is mentioned as an evil king. According to another legend, Satyavrata, an impious and lustful prince, was described to have been banished by his father for stealing a Brahmin's bride from her wedding ceremony. Vasishtha, the royal preceptor, was responsible for the prescription of the punishment for Satyavrata. Satyavrata had developed a great hatred towards Vasishtha. Satyavrata is described to have greatly helped sage Vishwamitra's family when his family suffered with hunger during a famine by offering them food daily. Once, when Satyavrata was unable to find any game after a long day of hunting, the hungry prince came across Nandini, Vasishtha's beloved cow. He vengefully slew the cow, cooked it, and offered its meat to the unsuspecting family of Vishwamitra. When Vasishtha realized what had happened, he cursed the prince to become a chandal and declared that he would henceforth be called Trishanku, meaning the one with three sins, referring to his actions of provoking the fury of his father, his abduction of another man's bride, and his consumption of the flesh of a cow. In this version of the story, eventually an enraged Vishwamitra, threatening to undermine Indra's authority, secures the king a place among new stars, constellation, and even devas he creates through his own ascetic power.